أفلا يتدبرون القرآن أم على قلوب أقفالها.
الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. أما بعد. Today is the 28th of Rabi'ul Awwal 1434, which corresponds to the 8th of February 2013. Alaikum Salaam. We continue our lovely discussion on Surah Maaidah. And last time we discussed Ayah number 47, and we concluded that. And inshallah today, right now, we will initiate the discussion on Ayah number 48, which reads, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وأنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق مصدقا لما بين يديه من الكتاب ومهيمنا عليه فاحكم بينهم بما أنزل الله ولا تتبع أهواءهم عما جاءك من الحق لكل جعلنا منكم شرعة ومنهاجا ولو شاء الله لجعلكم أمة واحدة ولكن ليبلوكم فيما آتاكم فاستبقوا الخيرات إلى الله مرجعكم جميعا فينبئكم بما كنتم فيه تختلفون. And we have revealed to you, O Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, the book in truth, confirming that which preceded it of the scripture, and as a criterion over it. So judge between them by what Allah has revealed, and do not follow their inclinations away from what has come to you of the truth. To each of you we prescribed a law and a method. Had Allah willed, we would have made you one nation, meaning united in religion. But He intended to test you in what He has given you. So raise to good. To Allah is your return altogether. And He will then inform you concerning that over which you used to differ. The Shaykh rahimahullah says in his commentary, يقول تعالى وأنزلنا إليك الكتاب الذي هو القرآن العظيم. The book which Allah sent down upon the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the great Quran. أفضل الكتب وأجلها. أفضل الكتب وأجلها. The best of books and the most sanctified, or the most honorable. بالحق أي إنزالا بالحق ومشتملا على الحق في أخباره وأوامره ونواهيه. What does it mean that it was sent down with the truth? Meaning it's sending down is the truth, and it contains the truth in regards to its narratives, in regards to its commandments and prohibitions. مصدقا لما بين يديه من الكتاب لأنه شهد لها ووافقها وطابقت أخباره أخبارها. It's a witness or confirming that which preceded it of the scripture, because it's a witness over it, it agrees with it, and it has similar stories. And if you read the Bible, all jokes aside, if you read the Bible and you read some of the stories there, and then you read the Quran, you will find a lot of similarities and of course differences. They will have some differences in their distortions, but if you look at the core of the story, you will find that the same story which we know from the Quran has already been narrated in the Bible before. Now, is this a plus or otherwise? It's a plus. The Christians claim that it's an evidence that our book is copied from their book. They say you copied the Quran from the Bible. So you say if we copied it from the Bible, then it should have the same message. But you believe in something different than what we believe, so that's impossible. Plus, our narratives are more logical. Yours are not. Ours are more accurate. Yours are not. We have a chain of narrators regarding the story. You don't. We have one version of the Quran. You have many. So, if we see a story of Fir'aun and Musa in the Quran and the story of Fir'aun and Musa in the Bible, obviously the one in the Quran is more reliable and authentic than the one in the Bible, even though you find that the same story is mentioned there. So it's an evidence that the Quran came to fulfill the previous messages and the revelations, yet it identified the errors and the distortions and it rectified them, so that the Quran becomes a peace of mind for you to refer to, knowing that this is the authentic material revealed by Allah Azza wa Jal. وَشَرَائِعُهُ الْكِبَارِ شَرَائِعَهَا. And the major pillars and legislations in the Quran are similar to the ones in the previous scriptures. وَأَخْبَرَتْ بِهِ. And it informed, the other scriptures spoke about the coming of the Quran. فَصَارَ وُجُودَهَا مُصَادِقًا مصداقا لخبرها. So the very existence of the Quran became a materialization of the or fulfillment of the prophecy in the previous scriptures. Like when Jesus, whether in the Old Testament or the New Testament, told them about a person who will come and he will speak, the words of Allah. The words of Allah will be in his mouth, so on and so forth. This is speaking about the Quran with the Prophet ﷺ. وَمُهَيْمِنًا عَلَيْهِ. Very important word. Here they translated as the criterion over it, which is a good translation. But haymana is a form of total control and superiority. Something that is in charge, something that is in the position of leadership and decision making, and so on and so forth. The Shaykh said, أي مشتملا على ما اشتملت عليه الكتب السابقة, meaning it contains what the previous scriptures contained. وزيادة في المطالب الإلهية والأخلاق النفسية. However, there's an increase, there's an addition in it in regards to the divine requirements and the lofty character. فهو الكتاب الذي تتبع كل حق. It's the book which has followed every form of truth. جاءت به الكتب فأمر به. That other scriptures had mentioned, so the Quran commanded that. وحث عليه, and it encouraged it. وزياد وأكثر من الطرق الموصلة إليه. And it provided many means which lead you to that noble objective. وهو الكتاب الذي فيه نبأ السابقين واللاحقين. And it is a book which contains the news of the former people and those who will come after. Obviously it speaks about the end of time and يوم القيامة and so on and so forth. وهو الكتاب الذي فيه الحكم والحكمة والأحكام. أيوة. It's time for the morning exercise while I sip on some coffee. Who can translate حكم وحكمة وأحكام? All of them sound like they're the same word. MashaAllah, they choose the easy one. First, Allah understand. First, actually it could be al-hikam or it could be al-hukum. I say it's hukum because if it was hikam, it would have been the plural of hikmah, and there's no point in mentioning hikam and hikmah in the same one, same sentence. So this must be al-hukum. وَالْحِكْمَةِ وَالْأَحْكَامِ. So let's do them in the order in which they came. Barakallahu feekum. Al-Hukum. Wa alaikum salam, Mudir. Ya Shaykh. Huh? It's in the Quran, Ya Jama'at al-Khair al-Juz'u Amma. Huh? But no, the same word. Oh no, that one is not in Surah Amma. This was in Surah Yusuf. إن الحكم إلا لله أمر أن لا تعبدوا إلا إياه ذلك الدين القيم.
All the commandments are from Allah.
Actually, but a better word is judgment. Al-Hukm is the judgment. Okay? Like the verdict or the ruling. So the Qadi, when he gives the Hukm, meaning he issues the verdict or the sentence against the defendant or the criminal, whatever you want to call it. But that's Hukm. Hikmah, that's what everybody knows. Wisdom. طيب ماشي. And Ahkam, laws, rulings, legislations, so on and so forth. Allahu Akbar. Where was I? الذي عرضت عليه الكتب السابقة فما شهد له بالصدق فهو المقبول وما شهد له بالرد فهو مردود قد دخله التحريف والتبديل وإلا فلو كان من عند الله لم يخالف. So this is a very, very important principle that the Shaykh was about to mention. You people who are involved in da'wah have to know this. Otherwise you will fail in your da'wah. Look, all the previous rulings, legislations, laws, whatever, are presented before the Quran. That's why they called it in the translation of Sahih International criterion. They're presented before the Quran. Anything that you get from the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, the Gospel of Barnabas, which they've taken out and they still have copies of it, whatever it is, anything, you present it before the Quran. What the Quran proves to be correct, agrees with it, it's authentic. And what the Quran rejects, it's rejected. And we conclude that distortion and changes have been made to this particular teaching or text. Otherwise, had it been from Allah, it wouldn't have disagreed with the Quran. So when the Christians, and they're very famous for this. They're famous for this argument. You say, you Muslims are, funny people. You quote the Bible, when the verse is in agreement with you. And when we quote verses which support our ideology and our, whatever dogma, you say that, no, we don't believe in this. This is distorted. So you play with our book by picking and choosing. And what do you say then? Yes, exactly. Just like that. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm doing. And I have a reason for that. Because whatever I quote from the Bible, if I found it in agreement with the Quran, I believe that's part of the gospel which Jesus was given. And anything which I find contradicting the Quran, I conclude that it is not reliable. Why? Because I have a reliable source. I have a reliable source. And you can give him an example of someone having an original copy, and then you had two those who copy. Those who copy scriptures. What's the word for them? Scribes, barakallah fiqh. We have two scribes, hello? Both of them copy this particular page. Okay? And then we find that then when we look at both copies, when you have both copies and you read both, you find a variation between them. So you refer to someone who doesn't have the original copy. Is he going to be able to help you? No. He doesn't have the original copy. He reads two different copies or changes. He doesn't know which one is correct. But when you refer to someone with the original copy, can he point out where the mistake is in each one of the pages? Sure. What? He has something he can refer to. Something reliable. Say, this is the original. You copied from this, right? It says here, foot, and you wrote, I don't know what, leg. So you have something to refer to. So because we have the Quran, and it's preserved and protected, and we dare you, and double dare you, and triple dare you, and quadruple dare you to prove otherwise, that this Quran is not from Allah, or that it is not protected, do it. Do it. Allah said, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. Produce one surah like the Quran. Yalla, go. When you bring a surah like the Quran, then we can negotiate whether this book is from Allah or not. Of course, the Christians have been trying, ever since this ayah was revealed, all the kuffar in fact, until today, to bring a surah like the Quran, and somehow they failed. Isn't that amazing? multitudes of people, millions upon millions, over 1400 years cannot produce surah like Surah Al-Kawthar, which is an ayah, 3 ayat or a line and a half, just to do away with the whole Quran. Because if they were to do so, we wouldn't have this Quran anymore, because the challenge of Allah would have been met. So we would be like, okay, Allah said no one can produce. They say, well, we produce something like it, so we would be in trouble. But that hasn't happened. Anis Shorosh and his funny clan, they made an attempt at it. And when you hear, the only thing you can do is laugh. The only thing you can do is laugh. When this fool was on stage trying to read what they claimed to be like a Quran, which they gave, they said, okay, we can bring something like the Quran. Everybody was laughing. Because it's like, what is this? It just doesn't happen. In the fitrah of the people, it cannot. You will be able to tell the difference between the Quran and the speech of human beings instantly. Even if you try to follow the same rhythm of the Quran or the same wording of the Quran, you can't do it. So they did it and it didn't succeed. Even though he had the opportunity to read it on stage. And you know, the Ahmadiyya debates are very popular. If that was a successful attempt, you see that everybody was speaking about it. Did you hear it? Anis Shorosh did it, da da da. No. It failed even though he presented it to the world. Yeah. This guy, man. You know, there are some people that when you meet them, the only thing you want to do is smack them with a shoe. Anis Shorosh is one of these guys. That guy was funny, man. Yeah, they caught him, by the way, stealing some money, hiding away tax papers, which he, for hiding the crime of embezzlement, or I don't know what he was doing with the money that they were giving to him for Christianity or missionary work. He was using it to, make a bigger house, just like Jimmy Swaggart. You know Jimmy Swaggart, right? Swaggart. طيب. So the principle is we refer to the Quran, If it's there, good. So when we read in the Bible, Jesus saying to the people, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your mind, with all your soul, with all your strength." Does that sound like it's something that Allah revealed? Yes. Do we have similar teachings in the Quran? Yes. Same thing. Inna Allah Rabbi wa Rabbukum fa'buduh, hadha siratun mustaqim. Jesus said to them, verily Allah is my Lord and your Lord, so worship Him. This is the straight path. Or the ayah, وَالَّذِينَ آمَنُوا أَشَدُّ حُبًّا لِلَّهِ. And those who believe have greater love for Allah. So it's the same thing. So we can show them in the Bible teachings that are in agreement with Islam. But when we read that, that there are 3 who bear witness, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and these 3 are one, does that sound like something Allah revealed? No. And if you do your homework or your research, you'll find that this is a fabricated verse. It's a footnote which they squeezed into the Bible because it serves their purpose of Trinity, the purpose of propagating Trinity. Otherwise, they don't have any solid evidence for Trinity. And how can their aqidah, how can their belief system be based on something that is not explicitly taught in their scripture? It's very important because they will find you some verse somewhere that if you were to interpret it in 10 different ways, one of them will be in agreement with them. So you tell them, are you telling me that the foundation of your religion is based on a verse that has multiple interpretations? Shouldn't this be explicitly stated, repeated? But how many times did the Prophet ﷺ repeat the message of Tawheed? Or how many times did Allah Azza wa Jal mention that He did not send a messenger? Every messenger, He said to His people, اعبدوا الله ما لكم من إله غيره. Read the Quran. Every prophet said to his people, worship Allah, you have no other gods besides Him. So when the core of your message is whatever the core of the message is, it has to be repeated. The Christians cannot say this about the Trinity. They cannot say it about the sonship of Jesus. They cannot say this about the atonement. They cannot say this about any of the things which they teach today in the name of their religion. All of them are based on some weird, funky, twisted interpretation or distortion of some priest somewhere in the world to, make it agreeable to the people. So you have to know these facts, Bismillah. In order to do da'wah successfully. If you know these ABCs, they can't deal with you. They can't. And if they can't deal with you, you've done one of two things. Either you will successfully convert them to Islam, or revert them to Islam bi'idhnillah, or you would have established the proof against them until Yawm al-Qiyamah. So when they meet Allah Yawm al-Qiyamah, they cannot say, I didn't know. No, Wallah Fulan at the Dawah Center showed you. And he explained to you. Now you didn't want to accept, that's your business. So there's a hellfire for you just for that decision of yours. So go ahead. Versus someone who never received the message, because we didn't convey the message. So we have to take care of this business, ya akhwan. Al-Muhim, so Allah said at the end, فَحْكُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ. So judge between them with that which Allah revealed, or sent down. من الحكم الشرعي الذي أنزله الله عليك. Yani judge between them with the rulings that Allah had revealed upon you. وَلَا تَتَّبِعْ أَهْوَاءَهُمْ عَمَّا جَاءَكَ مِنَ الْحَقِّ. And do not follow their desires over that which has been given to you of the truth. أي لا تجعل اتباع أهواءهم الفاسدة المعارضة للحق بدلا عما جاءك من الحق. Do not substitute what has come to you with the truth by following what they invent of their evil opinions and suggestions. فَتَسْتَبْدِلَ الَّذِي هُوَ أَدْنَى بِالَّذِي هُوَ خَيْرٌ. So you wind up replacing that which is lower with that which is good. And this is very common amongst the Christians. I mentioned that last time and I mentioned it again. The Christians have been trained. Many of them have been trained to reject the da'wah of Islam and to throw misconceptions and cast doubt in the heart of the inviter, so that they not only not accept Islam, but they also cause problems for the one giving them da'wah. And one of their means is that they would put conditions that they want Islam to abide by. They will tell you some standards of theirs, whether they are cultural or Christian based or whatever, and they will say, okay, if the Quran or Islam teaches this, then I'm fine. If not, then I cannot accept. And so they try to trap you. And then I said last time, and then many Muslims fall for the trap, and they go fetching to meet the requirement of this Christian. Christian says, Wallah, I want men and women to be equal. My logic says men and women are to be equal. So if you can find me a verse from the Quran or a hadith that says that men and women are equal, okay, we will move on. If you cannot, if it proves that men are superior to women, then I don't want to deal with you anymore. So the Muslims say, okay, abshir. And he's go looking and twisting a hadith and looking for something and inventing anything. Just say, here we meet. What? Why, ya Akhil Aziz? Why do you have to do this? Tell him straight up, what do you want? Men and women are equal in what sense? Are they equal? Are men and women equal? You tell him right now, you and your wife. Are you like your wife? Tell me, man, unless I'm crazy. Do you have the same appearance? You're a male, she's a female. In the very physical creation, we're different. Can you look after the kids for 10 hours straight? Can you babysit? You cannot. Who can do it? Women. Do you breastfeed? No, you don't breastfeed. Women. So, what are you talking about? On the very basis of it, we're not the same. So how else, what do you mean by equal? Both are entitled to paradise? Sure. Yes, Islam teaches equality in this sense. Both can do good and righteous deeds and whatever? Yeah, sure. But if you're going to tell me they're equal in other ways, then they're not equal. Not intellectually, not physically, not emotionally, not spiritually. Nothing. Nothing. Allah has made a difference between male and female. This is the way of Allah. What do you want? So don't go with follow their footsteps that will mislead you from the original message. Because if you successfully prove to them that Allah is the creator and He is the most wise, then you don't have to explain why men are different than women, or why men are in charge of women, as it is in Islam. الرجال قوامون على النساء. Men are in charge and caretakers of women. You don't have to explain that because they have believed in Allah. And what does Allah say? وَمَن يُؤْمِن بِاللَّهِ يَهْدِ قَلْبَهُ. You have to know this ayah. I believe it's Surah Al-Taghabun. And whosoever believes in Allah, Allah will guide his heart. These people don't believe in Allah, therefore Allah has not guided their hearts. So they argue with Allah and they reject Allah's rules and Allah's principles and Allah's wisdom because they don't believe in Allah. If you do the job of them believing in Allah, you don't have to do anything else. They will have to say سمعنا وأطعنا خلاص, which is the condition, alhamdulillah, in which we are. Even if we don't understand, if we know this is from Islam, we don't go arguing about it. But if you understand, congratulations, a bonus for you. So this is our goal. That's why you have to deliver the message of Tawheed and don't go following their desires, because nothing makes them happy. أي لكل منكم أيها الأمم جعلنا شرعة ومنهاجا أي سبيلا وسنة. To each one of you, nations, we have made a legislation and a method and a way, meaning سبيلا وسنة, a path and a tradition that is followed. وهذه الشرائع التي تختلف باختلاف الأمم هي التي تتغير بحسب تغير الأزمنة والأحوال. And these legislations which change from one nation to another are the ones which change according to the change of the time and circumstance. Right? That has an effect on things. وكلها ترجع إلى العدل في وقت شرعتها. But however, all of them are based on justice at that time of legislation, at the time of revelation. Meaning, back then, whatever that ruling was in their sharia, that was the just ruling for their people for that time. ولو شاء الله وأما الأصول الكبار التي هي مصلحة وحكمة في كل زمان فإنها لا تختلف. This is in regards to what? The minor rulings or the specifications or the applications. However, the fundamental foundational principles, then these ones do not change. The ones which are beneficial and provide wisdom for every particular time or era, then these do not change. These do not change. Very important. Meaning, the Christians will say, again, because this is all in the context of Christians. The Christians will say, why do you have abrogation in Islam? If Allah knows everything, and if Allah revealed the Quran, why would He change His mind, as they would put it, by revealing something and then later on changing it? He didn't know that it was going to be different, so He could have revealed the final result from the beginning. So if you're claiming that there's no change, but we see change within your own book. So if there's change within your own book, so what's the problem in the fact that Jesus changed what was revealed before Him? Because we say to them that Jesus said, do not think that I came to destroy the law or the prophets. And we say to them, did Moses teach Trinity? Did Abraham teach Trinity? Did any of the prophets teach Trinity? They say no. Say, then how come Jesus taught Trinity according to you? See what I'm saying? They get cornered. So they can tell you, well, no, they didn't teach Trinity, but Jesus came with the Trinity. And that's a change. But you have change in your book too. So why do you agree with the change in your book and you reject the one in our book? How do you answer that? Is this AC on or am I just tripping? How do you answer that? Abdullah, please make it cooler, Habibi. Don't worry about the AC now. He's going to take care of it. You answer me. If they tell you, why do you have abrogation in Islam? Why is an ayah revealed after an ayah which invalidates the first ayah, which suggests change?
It's not in the fundamentals.
It does not contradict it. It was not contradicting the steps of teaching.
Nope.
Contradistinction or something?
What, is that a new word?
Contradistinction.
What contradistinction, man?
Two different evidence about same thing, but it's two different point of views.
Is that an actual word?
Sheikh Dida said sometime before. I just
Contradistinction? I gotta look that one up, man. Have you heard of that one? We need a native speaker. When somebody gives this kind of fatwa.
Because Allah knows better than human.
Okay.
That's why He changed. But they changed themselves.
According to the situation, the ground reality.
The abrogation has made in the which issue, it is because the living of the people. And during the time, and Islam is not applicable during the time, and applicable in our time.
Look, first, whenever you speak about this issue, you have to speak with confidence. Because if you start shaking up and stuttering, when you're trying to explain it, you're already lost. Okay? You have to put this in their face, just like when you say water is water. You don't speculate that water is water and that you're drinking water. You don't say, well, let me see, maybe it's juice, is this orange juice? Akhi, it's water, man. Don't be acting silly. So the first thing you say, look, this is an evidence for the truthfulness of the Quran and the Prophet ﷺ. Let me ask you a question. Which you think would be better and safer? To mention the abrogated and the abrogation, or not to mention it? Which one is safer for us? Not to mention it. If you wanted to send something and protect yourself from, or the people from doubting, you don't mention it. You just mention the last result. Let's say there are 5 ayat, and all of them were abrogated with 1 ayat. What is better for us is to get rid of these 5 ayat and keep only the last one. Why? To avoid confusion. To avoid confusion. So what 5 ayat? There's no other 5 ayat. There's only 1 ayat. This is the end result. So the very existence of the abrogated verses and the abrogating verse is an evidence about the truthfulness of Islam and the Prophet ﷺ. Even that which may have affected the genuine da'wah and the authenticity of the da'wah, even though it may raise speculation, he didn't remove it. Even though it would have been more convenient for him to remove it, to close the door of people doubting. But the level of truthfulness in conveying what Allah revealed is of such that even though there are abrogating verses that abrogated other verses, both are still in the Quran. Which means it is from Allah 100%. Number 2, Allah Azza wa Jal revealed the Quran over the period of 23 hours or 23 years? 23 years. So the conditions of the people were changing. And this is an evidence that Islam is the most suitable religion for mankind, because the formulation of the final results was over the experience of human beings. Their actual living on earth, their needs were met as per the way it ended at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. Therefore, instead of being arbitrary in the ruling where there's no left or right and no flexibility or black and white, it actually took into consideration the condition of the people. Therefore, Allah revealed the final revelation when that time was good for them. Otherwise, Allah knew it all along what would be good for them. But that is a mercy from Allah that He would actually modify His revelation in order to facilitate the affairs of His slaves. You understand? So this is the approach. So you cannot compare the change of claiming that Jesus, became the first to teach Trinity to a verse which is abrogated in the Quran. Because the fundamental, foundational principles of the religions can never be changed. And which is what you mentioned earlier. It would never be that there were 2 gods to be worshipped and then that would be abrogated, now it becomes 1 God. You understand what I'm saying? Which is what they're doing. Their change is in the core of their religion. The object of worship itself has changed from 1 to 3. In Islam, the change is regarding, for example, approaching Salah when you were drunk. Before alcohol was prohibited, the first ruling was لا تقربوا الصلاة وأنتم سكارى حتى تعلموا ما تقولون. Don't approach Salah while you are intoxicated until you know what you're saying. Until your mind is settled down and you know what you're saying. Then that was abrogated when Allah prohibited the consumption of alcohol completely. Then Allah Azza wa Jal prohibited the whole idea. فَهَلْ أَنْتُمْ مُنْتَهُونَ? Are you going to stop them? And they stopped. Because at that stage, the Sahaba were not yet ready to give up alcohol. Their iman had not yet grown to the level where they would be able to leave it for the sake of Allah and move on with their lives. Because they were heavy drinkers.
Can you put some verses from the Quran which abrogated, being very familiar with some of the...
This is the most famous one.
This alcohol.
The most famous one is the alcohol. The most famous one is the alcohol. There are many others, by the way. There are books written about this. Of course, many...
quote any verses about the laws before it's abrogated in the Quran. And it's
In Surah An-Nisa, what do you mean laws before?
Some laws before, which is
Some hadith.
with the Torah.
The Quran abrogating the Torah? No, that doesn't work. We're dealing about the Quran abrogating the Quran, not the Torah. The Torah, khalas, we said the Quran is muhaymin alayh. The Quran is a superior book and the criterion over it. So we analyze and judge the Torah, the Old and the New Testament as per the teachings of the Quran. There's no really abrogation there. Because if it's in the Quran and not in the Bible, or the opposite is in the Bible, that means that this is distorted. It's not from Allah to abrogate. For you to abrogate, both have to be from Allah.
This is what they're looking for. Some debaters of the Christian, they're looking for the laws that abrogated from the Quran.
Yeah, but we no longer call them abrogators. For you to say abrogate, meaning this verse from Allah was abrogated by this verse from Allah. Hello? Now, when we come to the Quran and we find a conflict between the message of the Quran and the message of the Bible, we can no longer say that in the Bible is from Allah. It's from them. And so Allah's rule is not going to abrogate their rule. Allah's rule abrogates Allah's rule. So there's no even foundation for abrogation, because their book is distorted. It's human made. And our book is from Allah. So when Allah abrogates a ruling of His before, we say this is abrogation, because both are from Allah. But Quran versus Bible, when we see a conflict, we said earlier, we assume that this is from Allah and this is from their distortions. So there's no longer abrogation, because it's not from Allah to be abrogated. Mashi? So, نعم. فإنها لا تختلف. أيوة. فتشرع في جميع الشرائع. So these fundamental principles, the foundational principles, are available in every legislation. ولكن نعم. ولو شاء الله لجعلكم أمة واحدة. If Allah had willed, He would have made you a single nation or single religion. تبعا لشريعة واحدة لا يختلف متأخرها ولا متقدمها. It would have been all of us would have followed one legislation. There would be no variation between the first and the last. ولكن ليبلوكم فيما آتاكم فيختبركم وينظر كيف تعملون. However, Allah did not do that in order to test us. In order to test us with that which He had given us. So Allah will test us and He will see how we would behave. وَيَبْتَلِي كُلَّ أُمَّةٍ بِحَسَبِ مَا تَقْتَدِيهِ حِكْمَةٌ. And Allah will test every nation as per His wisdom. وَيُؤْتِي كُلَّ أَحَدٍ مَا يَلِيقُ بِهِ. And He will give each what is suitable for him or for that nation. وَلْيَحْصُلُ التَّنَافُسِ بَيْنَ الْأُمَمِ. And so that can become means of competition among the various nations. فَكُلُّ أُمَّةٍ تَحْرِصُ عَلَى سَبْقِ غَيْرِهَا. Each nation will strive to precede the other. وَلِهَذَا قَالْ فَاسْتَبِقُوا الْخَيْرَاتِ. That's what Allah Azza wa Jalla said. So race towards goodness. أَيْ بَادِرُوا إِلَيْهَا وَأَكْمِلُوهَا. Meaning strive towards it and perfect it. فإن الخيرات الشاملة لكل فرض ومستحب من حقوق الله وحقوق عباده. Because khairat is comprehensive and it includes every obligation and every recommended act in regards to the rights of Allah and the rights of the slaves of Allah. لا يصير فاعلها سابقا لغيره مستوليا على الأمر إلا بأمرين. And a person cannot possibly be ahead of others, nor is he in charge of his affair unless two conditions are met. Al-mubadara ilayha, first he should hasten towards it. وانتهاز الفرصة حين يجيء وقتها ويعرض عارضها. حين يجيء وقتها ويعرض عارضها. And that he should take advantage of the opportunity when it comes by and when it's available. والاجتهاد في أدائها كامل على الوجه المأمور به. So first he has to hasten towards it. Second, he has to strive to perform it perfectly in the manner in which it was commanded. ويستدل بهذه الآية على المبادرة لأداء الصلاة وغيرها في أول وقتها. And this ayah can be used as an evidence about the hastening or to perform the salah in its early time, in the beginning of the time, which is in Salatul Jama'ah nowadays in the masjid. وعلى أنه ينبغي أن لا يقتصر العبد على مجرد ما يجزي في الصلاة وغيرها من العبادات من الأمور الواجبة, and that a slave should not rely strictly or only on whatever is acceptable of the salah or other acts of worship that are obligatory. بل ينبغي أن يأتي بالمستحبات التي يقدر عليها لتتم وتكمل ويحصل بها الصدق. Rather, he should also engage in the recommended acts of worship so that he may perfect and complete, and he can have the position of leadership. إلى الله مرجعكم جميعا, to Allah all of you shall return. الأمم السابقة واللاحقة, the previous nations and the latter ones. كلهم سيجمعهم الله ليوم لا ريب فيه, all of them Allah shall gather them for a day in which there is no doubt. فينبئكم بما كنتم فيه تختلفون, so he shall inform you of that which you used to differ about. من الشرائع والأعمال, so whatever you differed about in regards to legislation and deeds, like our affair with the Christians, Allah will tell us about that which we used to differ about on Yawm al-Qiyamah. فيثيب أهل الحق والعمل الصالح, so Allah will reward with goodness the people of the truth and the righteous deeds. ويعاقب أهل الباطل والعمل السيء, Allah will punish the people of falsehood and the people of evil deeds. And inshallah, I think that is sufficient for today. And then, in the future we will continue with the ayat 49 onwards. هذا والله أعلم وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد.